Back in the 1950s, a gentleman called Berne coined the concept of transactional analysis. Now, what he said was that the interaction between any two people was a transaction. So people were playing different roles and there were different, what he called, strokes being given. So everybody got out of that conversation or that interaction what they needed to. That's a massive oversimplification, and actually there is a link to his website in the text below this video. But shifting our mindset again around interacting with people to transacting with people allows us to take our understanding of how we show up in a conversation, as well as somebody else showing up, to a different level. Now, Eric postulated that there are three ego states that we all take in any interaction. And those three states are parent, child, and adult are the three ego states. Now, I'm going to break those down, talk you through them, and also talk you through the four sub-states that sit under parent and child. There is also a chapter from the book Defy Expectations attached to this video as a download that again takes you through this understanding so you can start to grasp the concept of adult, parent, and child. But before we dive into the details, why is this important to a leader? So I said in the last video that quite often leaders or managers are looked at as mum or dad in the room, and they're there to solve the problem and to fix it. The real problem with that is that it's abdicating responsibility for your behaviour in a very childlike way. What it's saying is, I'm not the one that's going to help solve this conflict. My mummy or daddy is. Now, that puts the whole role of leader into quite a difficult position because you're no longer there having a different job from every other adult in the room. You are now the one who is playing the parent in the room, and that dynamic isn't always healthy in a company organisation. So understanding the transactional analysis ego states of parent, child, and adult allows us to increase our awareness of our ego states on a regular basis, and as we increase our awareness of ourselves, we also increase our awareness of others. What I've also found with transactional analysis is sharing this with people, educating them on the different ego states that are out there, also removes quite a lot of emotion from conflict conversations because people start to understand why their emotional responses are as they are. They no longer feel driven by their emotions because they can start to understand where they're coming from and separate themselves from it. So as a leader, understanding transactional analysis increases our awareness of how we are showing up in certain situations, allows us to really engage with individuals where we understand where they're coming from, but also sharing it can deepen others' understanding and self-awareness and allow them to detach themselves from their emotions in a way that is healthy, allows those emotions to be there, but it's not driving the response. So what do these three ego states of adult, parent, and child mean? Parent is where you are using responses to a situation that you have learnt by watching others when you were a child, usually between the ages of 0 and 7. So at that time, when we were younger, we would look at others to see how they would respond to situations, and we would then copy and mimic that. These could be your actual parents, your grandparents, teachers, any adult of influence would have taught you patterns of behaviour to certain situations. Now, those may have been positive or they may have been negative, but those patterns are there and you are repeating them. A child state is where you have learnt, usually again from ages 0 to 7, how to respond by internalizing the problem, by trying to figure that out yourself. So instead of looking to others and learning from them, you've responded how you felt you needed to. So it's a very childlike response. And again, this has become automatic programming. It's that habit. And this understanding of transactional analysis again plays into that habit cycle and how we can break those habits. In situations as an adult, if we've learnt how to respond either from watching others when we were growing up or by deciding how we were going to do it ourselves, we will automatically respond in that way when we're grown up. What I mean by that is we've used the example of someone shouts, you walk away, you feel safe as one of those habits that you might want to change as a leader. That's something that could either be a child or a parent response. You may have seen a parent do that, or you might have done that yourself as a child. Those are responses not based on the actual situation at the moment, but based on responses that you have adopted in the past and have continued to use. The adult state is where you are responding to stimulus in the moment, from the moment. What I mean by that is you're not responding in a way that has been previously programmed or has become habit. You're looking at the data purely in the context of what is happening in this instance. So your emotions, your responses are driven contextually by what is happening now. In the parent state, there are also two substates of parent. One is called critical parent and one is called nurturing parent. The critical parent is nothing's ever good enough, you're disappointing, come on, I know you can do better than that. It's a very harsh individual. We all see this in business. That critical voice, more or less telling people around them that they're just not good enough, they're not performing where they need to. That is the role of critical parent. We also quite often see nurturing parent. And that response is, it's okay, I'll do this for you, I'll look after you. Now, there are times when actually both of those states are okay. If you're coming to the end of a financial year, you're a sales leader and you really just need to get your sales team completely dedicated and focused to closing, saying to them, it's okay, I'll take all of these other tasks off you, or I'll stop the pressure on you right now so you can focus on what you're doing. That's an okay nurturing parent to play. But if you're doing that on a regular basis, people will then feel as though actually it's all over to you. You can do it. You're my nurturing parent. You can look after me. And that's where we see that lack of accountability and that lack of responsibility in our people. So nurturing and critical parent. Under the child, there is also two substates. There is the adaptive child, the yes sir, I'll do that sir type child, the people pleaser. And then there's the rebellious child. Now, there is a great train of thought that says actually the rebellious child is the one that has driven progress. It's the one that says, no, I know better. I can do this. I'm going to do it my way. Get out the way. It's the classic teenager. Now, absolutely, we want some rebels, we want some disruption, we want people who can say no, but it's how you do it. Are you doing it based on experiences from the past that are driving your emotions, or are you doing it from the adult state, which is in the here and now? So, parent, critical and nurturing, child, rebellious, adaptive, adult, responding from the here and now. What I want you to do is look at yourself over the next 48 hours. When are you a parent? When are you an adult? And when are you a child? Start looking for those telltale critical, nurturing, adaptive and rebellious traits that you might be having. The reality is, until we become aware, we tend to usually spend a lot more time in parent and child than we would like. So this is your opportunity to shift that and start moving towards that adult state more and more in your interactions. As you do, you become more accountable and responsible for your own behavior, and you can role model that to your people as well.